James Kaufman, World News Report today, July 1st, 2025. God bless you and yours, no matter where you are in the world. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell for critical future updates. Ladies and gentlemen, NOAA and NASA are both forecasting a geomagnetic storm for July 2nd and 3rd. The amazing part here is they're saying it's been generated by coronal mass ejection. There was a C-5.55. That should scare everyone. Now here is the warning itself. A G1 minor geomagnetic storm watch has been issued for the 2nd of July UTC due to the arrival of a coronal mass ejection that left the sun on the 28th of June. Now, there is a coronal hole that's Earth facing right now. I will show that to you in just a moment. Anybody that's been watching the sun for years would swear that any geomagnetic disturbance or geomagnetic storm would be caused by the solar winds coming from the now facing coronal hole, not a C-5.55 solar flare on June 28th. This tells us our shields are just about dissipated completely, ladies and gentlemen. Now, anyone could perhaps justify a G1 geomagnetic storm from the coronal hole that's directly Earth facing currently, but it's very hard to justify a G1 geomagnetic storm from a C-5.55 solar flare. Here is a current picture of our sun. I'd seen this before I saw the warning. I said, well, wow, that's a decent sized coronal hole. We may see a geomagnetic disturbance or maybe a small geomagnetic storm due to the solar winds created by that coronal hole or loss of canopy. But that's not what they're saying at all. NOAA and NASA is saying this coronal hole has nothing to do with the geomagnetic storm, not disturbance, that they predicted for the 2nd and 3rd. Let's take a look at that solar flare. Before we do that, I'd like to mention how active the sun looks. Look how many sunspot groups there are. We're going to take a quick look at those in just a moment, but we haven't seen 11 Earth-facing sunspot groups at one time in some time. Now here we go. If we looked at the 7 days of solar flaring using our GOES X-ray flux, we wouldn't really have any thoughts about this C-5.55 causing a geomagnetic storm. That's hard to believe, hard to swallow. We've definitely dropped down to a high B baseline, but this will be the first time I've seen a C5 solar flare create a geomagnetic storm, which tells us only one thing. Our atmosphere is dissipating very quickly. We can also determine that this solar flare wasn't very strong because it will take 4 to 5 days to reach Earth, according to NOAA's forecast. Now, there is a chance their forecast could be wrong. We all know that there's a great chance their forecast could be wrong. We'll take a look at their Space Weather Prediction Center in just a moment, but let's look at the sunspots that are Earth-facing first. Now, what we're looking at here, guys, is 11 Earth-facing sunspots with more that probably need to be named or might have already been named coming around the limb. Unfortunately, I do not know and cannot tell y'all which sunspot group generated the C-5.55 solar flare because I've been out of touch for a few days. But my guess would be AR4122, and that would just be a guess. Obviously, based on its complexity and its current position on our sun. Now, all of NOAA's equipment is pointing to the forecasted G1 geomagnetic storm. This doesn't happen often. You can see on the second here, which will really be starting tonight at 7 p.m. and going into tomorrow, they have two geomagnetic storms, two impacts, July 2nd and then again on July 3rd. And when we go down to the Space Weather Prediction Center, they actually have it forecasted out like that with two separate impacts. I cannot explain to you why they have two separate impacts with a small C-5.55 solar flare. Head over to the WSA Inland Prediction Center, the Space Weather Prediction Center. They actually have it forecasted just like the warning and just like the KP index forecast, which is a first in such a long time. This could end up hitting us this evening. So please point your cameras to the north and take a picture and see if there's an aurora borealis, or even to the south, an Australis borealis. Remember, your camera in your phone can pick up things the human eye often can't. So it's always a good idea to use your phone just to make sure. But that's the only way we'll really know if we're being hit with space weather. Now they also have solar winds down around 400 to 450, a bump to about 450, going back down to 400, and that's with that coronal hole that's been Earth facing since yesterday. It would be good timing to have an uptick in solar winds around that time period, but we're not seeing this on any NOAA or NASA forecasts. We'll keep our eyes open. I would expect stronger solar winds in 400 to 450 kilometers per second, but let's wait and see what happens. Now, with all that said, I think the biggest thing we should take away from what we've seen today on our sun is all of the sunspots that are back all of a sudden after having this type of month here with only, well, it looks like 79 sunspot groups, 137 predicted. We're going to jump right back into the curve or perhaps above the curve, i.e. currently we have 11, maybe more sunspots that are Earth facing. So after a truly perplexing June with very few sunspots, almost half of what was predicted, it looks like the sun's going to reawaken for July. With that said, God bless you and yours. Please share our videos. Please subscribe if you have not. And always remember, anything's possible in the bizarro world.